There are a lot of anime characters who face deep soul-crushing trauma, moments that didn't just hurt them, they defined them. And somehow, as viewers, we feel that pain too. It hits close to home. Take Yuji Itadori, for example. The Shibuya incident was pure chaos. He watched his closest allies fall one by one, helplessly witnessing Sukuna using his own body unleash destruction like a living nightmare. Then there's Tanjiro. Imagine coming home to find your entire family slaughtered in cold blood, and the only survivor, your sister, turned into a demon. That kind of trauma rewires a person's soul. Or Guts from Berserk, a man who suffered so much the pain almost became his fuel. He didn't overcome his trauma, he adapted to it, wore it like armor because that's all he had left. Anime is filled with stories like these, characters who go through horrors that shake the audience to their core. But even among all these heavyweights of suffering, there's one character who, in my opinion, stands at the absolute peak of devastation. That character is Subaru Natsuki from Re:Zero. Now I know some of you are probably thinking, wait, really? An isekai protagonist? It's a fair reaction because let's be honest, most isekai anime follow the same formula. Guy gets transported to a new world, gains broken powers, builds a harem, saves the world, and vibes through it all with plot armor thicker than steel. But Re:Zero, nah, it flipped the script completely. Subaru isn't your average isekai hero. He doesn't get some cool sword or OP magic spell. What he does get is cursed with the ability to die over and over and over again, each time painfully, each time remembering everything. We're talking about death loops, mental breakdowns, watching friends die, watching himself die, losing people he loves over and over until that trauma builds up into something far more terrifying than any monster or villain. And through it all, Subaru doesn't get stronger by leveling up. He survives by breaking, shattering, and somehow putting himself back together again. He's not protected by plot armor, he's constantly being stripped of everything, his pride, his sanity, his will to go on. So in today's video, we're diving deep into why Subaru Natsuki has gone through what I believe to be one of the most devastating portrayals of trauma in anime history. If you're into stories that don't hold back, if you want to explore the darker, raw side of the human experience through anime, then make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss more videos like this. Now, let's get into it. Subaru starts off as your classic shut-in NEET, just a regular dude who stepped out of his cave to grab some instant noodles. Next thing he knows, boom, new world, zero context. No truck hun, no magic circle, no dramatic death scene. He just blinks and bam, he's in a fantasy setting. And like a lot of us would, he thinks, okay, I'm the protagonist now, isekai rules, right? Time to unlock some cheat powers, maybe find a waifu or two, save the kingdom, collect XP. But nope. Fate slaps him across the face. Subaru's got nothing. No powers, no sword skills, no fancy title. The first thing that happens, he gets jumped by a bunch of street punks and can't even hold his own. Man gets folded like laundry. Lucky for him, he gets saved by a silver-haired half-elf named Emilio and her adorable spirit partner Puck. Now Subaru, being Subaru, immediately starts simping. And I mean hard. So to repay her kindness, he offers to help track down her stolen insignia. That leads them to this sketchy little place called the Loot House, and it's here that Re:Zero bears its fang. The moment they step inside, boom, they both get brutally murdered, like stabbed to death without mercy. No warning, no epic buildup, just cold, bloody reality. Then, Subaru wakes up. Same place he first arrived. Same Apple stand. Same people. Same time. Like nothing ever happened. That's when we learn about his power, Return by Death. Now on paper that sounds cool, right? The ability to come back to life every time you die sounds like a cheat code, except it's not. It's a curse wrapped in horror. Because Subaru remembers everything, every stab, every scream, every betrayal, every death. And he's completely alone in that pain. Nobody else remembers what happened, just him. And he can't talk about it. He literally gets throttled by an unseen force if he tries. So yeah, this ability, it's not your typical overpowered gift. It's a psychological prison. For someone with no powers, no weapons, no plot armor, it's a nightmare loop with no escape. Still, Subaru being Subaru, he pushes forward. He's determined to keep his promise to Emilia. So he goes back to the loot house. This time, he actually figures out who the assassin is, Elsa, a woman who's as deadly as she is drop-dead gorgeous. They talk, tensions rise, and then she guts him, literally. Subaru dies. Again, he resets, tries again. This time, he doesn't even make it to the loot house. He gets killed by the same same street thugs from earlier, reset again. But finally, on the next loop, someone intervenes. A knight named Reinhard, and oh boy, this guy. Reinhard shows up and immediately flexes harder than anyone else in the show. It's like if you dropped Goku into a beginner level RPG. Dude is so OP, it's comical. Subaru watches as Reinhard casually saves the day, and you can feel the spotlight leaving him. It's like the universe said, sorry buddy, you thought you were the chosen one? Nah, that guy is. So after getting stomped on over and over again, Subaru finally gets a win, thanks to Reinhard. He steps in, absolutely no diffs Elsa, and forces her to retreat. Emilia gets her insignia back, and it looks like things are finally turning around for our boy. Emilia, grateful for Subaru's help and persistence, invites him back to her mansion, and at this point you might be thinking, alright, Subaru's trauma arc is done. He's earned his rest, right? Yeah, not even close. At the mansion, Subaru meets a whole new cast of characters. Roswal, the mysterious and flamboyant owner. Beatrice, the grumpy but oddly protective librarian. And of course, Ram and Rem, the twin maids who instantly become fan favorites. Subaru, being Subaru, offers to help out around the place, basically becoming a maid himself, and for a little while things seem peaceful, cozy even. But peace never lasts in ReZero. Subaru goes to sleep and wakes up only to realize something's off. He's back at square one, returned by death. Again, no warning, no reason, no explanation. Just reset, like everything he experienced in the mansion never happened. And this time it's even worse, because now he knows someone in the mansion kills him, but he doesn't know who or why. Imagine that terror, living, eating, sleeping beside people, not knowing which one of them ends you when the sun goes down. So Subaru starts investigating, sneaking around the halls late at night, and before he can figure anything out, he gets brutally stabbed. Another reset, another terrifying death. In the next loop, Subaru tries something different. He leaves the mansion and watches it from a distance, hoping to stay safe while figuring things out. That's when the truth hits. Rem is the killer. She thinks Subaru is some kind of spy or threat, and she straight up murders him. Not quick, not clean, she tortures him. It's one of the most painful deaths Subaru's experienced so far, and he remembers every second of it. And just when you think it can't get worse, Subaru tries to explain what's happening. He tries to talk about return by death, but he can't. This mysterious force chokes the words right out of his mouth, tries to suffocate him, and if he pushes it too far, it even hurts the people he's trying to protect. In another loop, Rem ends up poisoned, and because of how strange Subaru's been acting, everyone in the mansion turns on him. Ram is ready to kill him, and she means it. The only one who stands between Subaru and certain death is Beatrice, and that's when Subaru realizes the only way to make things right is to reset again. So he walks to a cliff, looks down, and jumps. Yeah, he ends his own life. At this point, you have to wonder, is the author okay, or do they just really enjoy watching Subaru suffer? Because this isn't just physical pain anymore. This is psychological trauma, complete emotional destruction. Subaru's not just dying, he's losing himself every time he does. But even after all that, he keeps going. He learns, he adapts, he fights through breakdown after breakdown, and finally, he earns the trust of Rem and Ram. It's a small victory, a hard-earned sliver of light in the pitch black darkness Subaru's been trapped in. But trust me when I say this is just the beginning. Fast forward to the royal capital. Things take a sharp turn. Subaru, who had been simping hard for Emilia this whole time, ends up pushing himself way too far during the royal selection. He gets involved in something way above his level, tries to stand up for Emilia, and just ends up humiliated, publicly beaten down by one of the royal knights. He's crushed, physically and emotionally. Emilia sees all this and makes a heartbreaking call. She decides to cut ties with Subaru, not out of anger, but because she believes he's putting himself in danger for her sake, and it's eating her alive. She thinks he deserves better, and so they part ways. That alone would have broken most protagonists, but for Subaru, it's just the beginning of the nightmare. Rem, ever loyal, is sent to keep an eye on Subaru, and just when things seem like they might calm down, Rem senses something is off, something terrible. She rushes back to Roswell's mansion, and Subaru, now alone and shaken, decides to follow. What he finds next is not just the darkest moment in ReZero, it's one of the most disturbing, haunting, and emotionally devastating moments in all of anime. Subaru arrives at the nearby village, and it's quiet, too quiet. He walks through empty streets, silent homes, no voices, no footsteps. Then the horror begins to unfold. Room after room, bodies burnt, twisted, slashed, scorched, children, villagers he once greeted with a smile, lifeless, blood on the wall, charred remains on the ground. And this wasn't just death, this was massacre. And in that sea of silence and horror, he finds Rem's body, lifeless, cold, just lying there. And for Subaru, that breaks something inside of him. This isn't a monster he can fight. This isn't something he can fix by dying and restarting. This is despair in its rawest form. But he keeps moving, desperate for answers, desperate to find someone. He drags himself to the mansion, terrified, broken, numb. And there on the cold mansion floor, Emilia's hairpin stained with blood, the only trace of her left. He moves forward into the next room and finds it covered in ice, an entire chamber frozen solid. Before he can even process what's happening, his body starts to freeze, limbs stiffen, skin cracks, bones snap, and just like that, he dies, frozen alive, alone in silence. Now pause for a second. This isn't some battlefield death. This isn't some shonen beatdown. This is psychological horror, emotional destruction, and physical death, all wrapped in one. Subaru's gone through so much already, but this breaks the barrier of what we expect from an isekai protagonist. He's not fighting monsters anymore. He's fighting trauma, grief, hopelessness. And that's why ReZero hits so different. It's not just pain, it's human pain. And the worst part, this isn't even the lowest point yet. So Subaru dies again. Yeah, again, but this time things feel different. He wakes up and sees Rem alive, smiling. Without hesitation, he lunges toward her, embraces her tight, like he's gripping onto life itself. And honestly, I would have done the same. After everything he saw in that last loop, the corpses, the blood, the icy death, Rem's lifeless body, to see her alive again, that would feel like waking up from a nightmare, only to realize you're still inside one. Subaru is healed physically, sure, but his mind, oh, it's crumbling. This man is hanging on by threads, and it only gets worse. Subaru and Rem head back to the mansion, hoping to prevent the massacre this time around, but halfway there, ambush. They get jumped by the witch's cult. Rem, ever the fighter, steps up to protect Subaru. She takes on multiple cultists, fighting like a beast, but it's chaos, and in the mess, one cultist snatches Subaru and disappears into the shadow. When Subaru opens his eyes, he's chained, and standing in front of him is Betelgeuse. Y'all, this man is nightmare fuel. He's twitchy, he's manic, he's quoting the gospel like a lunatic, he's obsessed with love. His facial expressions straight out of a horror film. You feel the madness radiating off him, and just when you think it can't get worse, Rem finds them. She charges in to save Subaru, but Betelgeuse, wielding the unseen hands of his authority of sloth, captures her midair, and then he twists her limbs like they're made of clay. Her arms, her legs snap in every direction. Her body dangles like a broken doll, and Subaru, he's forced to watch helpless, screaming, desperate. He cries out, swearing to kill Betelgeuse, but Betelgeuse just laughs, mocking his weakness, ridiculing his rage. Before he leaves, he drops Rem like trash. But even with her body shattered, Rem, with the last flicker of life, casts a spell, just enough to free Subaru from his chains, and then she dies. Just like that, gone. Subaru, now half broken, picks up Rem's lifeless body again and carries her toward the mansion. What does he see on the way? More corpses, villagers, friends, people he spoke to, people who welcomed him. It's a slaughter field. He makes it to the mansion only to find Ram also dead, and outside, standing in the snow, is Puck. But not the cute little furball we knew. Number this is Beast Puck, an elemental spirit who's lost control. He doesn't even look at Subaru with malice, it's just emptiness. He tells Subaru, sleep, and just like that, he decapitates him. And that, my friends, is episode 15 of ReZero. It's not just pain, it's suffocating. It's overwhelming. It's like you're being buried under emotional concrete and there's no air left to breathe. The way the episode is directed, scored, and paced, it leaves you shattered, wrecked mentally, emotionally, spiritually. This isn't just trauma, it's a dissection of the human spirit. After everything he's gone through, you'd think fate might throw Subaru a bone, right? Nah, Subaru, still mentally shattered, tries to warn the kingdom. He pleads for help to stop Betelgeuse and the witch's cult, but nobody listened. The people he's trying to save brush him off like he's delusional, a joke. And it's heartbreaking because he's seen it. He knows what's coming. So he takes matters into his own hands. He grabs Rem, ride or die, MVP Rem, and together they set out with some merchants to evacuate the village village and the mansion before the witch's cult strikes. But guess what? Fate said you thought. Out of nowhere, the skies darken. A deafening roar echoes across the plain, and then it appears. The white whale, an enormous fog-wreathed monster like something from humanity's deepest nightmares. Just existing in its presence makes you feel small and powerless. It attacks. Rem once again sacrifices herself to buy Subaru and Otto time to escape, and it's brutal. The kind of goodbye that never gets to be said. Subaru gets knocked out in the chaos. When he wakes up, he immediately asks about Rem. Otto looks at him like he's crazy. He's like, who's Rem? And that's when it hits. Rem has been erased from existence. Not dead, forgotten. Even Ram, her own twin sister, doesn't remember her. Subaru's heart snaps again, but it doesn't stop. Otto, realizing the white whale is drawn to Subaru's very presence, throws him off the wagon like a cursed object. Now Subaru is alone again. He limps back to the mansion, desperate, broken, running on fumes. He finds Amelia and tries to explain, tries to tell her about return by death, but he can't, because the moment he does, time freezes. Dark hands emerge, and Amelia dies in his arms. Her body falls limp, eyes dimming, and Subaru's screams echo into the silence. Suddenly, Beatrice appears. She teleports him and Amelia out of the mansion, trying to save them. But it's too late. Betelgeuse and the witch's cult descend on them like vultures. But then, a terrifying chill fills the air, and you already know who it is, Puck. But this ain't Amelia's cuddly spirit. This is Beast of the End Puck, an incarnation of nature's wrath. He annihilates the entire witch's cult, slaughters Betelgeuse in a blink, and then, eyes glowing with grief and fury, turns to Subaru. You let my daughter die. And without hesitation, he freezes Subaru to death. The last thing Subaru feels is his body turning to ice, cracking, breaking. But there's no fear on his face anymore. No screams, just laughter. That kind of laughter that sounds more like crying, unhinged, broken, gone. In that moment, Subaru dies not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That wasn't just a death. That was a full-blown mental collapse. After everything, the deaths, the madness, the ice, the loss, Subaru does what anyone would consider. He tries to run. He begs Rem to leave with him, to disappear into some distant land where witch cults and dead-eyed spirits don't exist, where maybe they can live quietly, where maybe, just maybe, he doesn't have to die again. But Rem doesn't flinch. She says she would run, but only with the Subaru she believes in, not the broken shell standing before her. She sees through his pain, sees the worth he's too blind to acknowledge, and then she pours her soul into a confession, a love confession that doesn't beg for anything back. She says she knows his heart belongs to Amelia, and still, she loves him anyway. And in that moment, when Subaru thought he had nothing left, Rem gave him a reason to ride. With newfound resolve, Subaru teams up with Crush, one of the royal candidates. In return for helping her slay the white whale, she agrees to help Subaru take on the witch's cult and protect the villagers. What follows is nothing short of cinematic brilliance. The white whale, that fog-wrapped nightmare, finally meets its end. After years of terrorizing the world, it's brought down in a battle that shakes the sky. The victory is epic, bittersweet, and heavy. But there's no time to rest. It's now or never. The final showdown with Betelgeuse, the demented Archbishop of Sloth. Subaru plans, plots, ambushes. Everything is falling into place until it doesn't. Betelgeuse, ever the unpredictable monster, possesses Subaru. Twisted voices invade his mind, fingers claw at his sanity. And before he can lose control, one of the knights is forced to kill him to save the rest. Another loop, another death. But this time, Subaru understands. He decodes Betelgeuse's authority, the invisible hands of the witch. He teams up with Julius, the knight he once clashed with, and together they bring the madman down. Subaru saves Amelia. He saves the villagers. He saves himself. When standing in the aftermath with the sky no longer suffocating, he confesses, "I love you, Amelia." It's not perfect, it's not clean, but it's real. Yeah, all of that, the death, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the whale, the cult, that was just the first course. Because season 2, that's when ReZero grabs you by the soul and screams, "You thought that was suffering, now we suffer." Rem, our MVP, best girl, ride or die, gets wiped from the story like she never existed. Her name and memories stolen by the Sin Archbishop of Gluttony, leaving her in a coma. Loved by none, remembered by no one. Subaru broken again. But he doesn't even get time to grieve, because now he has to walk through the sanctuary, a cursed forest wrapped in magical trauma where Amelia must confront the scar scars of her past, while Subaru gets tested, looped, and broken over and over in new creative ways. And then the final knife twist, Subaru learns the truth. When he dies and resets, the pain doesn't disappear. The people he leaves behind in those failed timelines, they still suffer. They still die, and they do it alone. And if that wasn't enough betrayal, Roswaal, the very man who gave him shelter, turns out to be playing 4D chess with people's lives, betting everything on Subaru's suffering. So yeah, season 1 was trauma, but season 2 is psychological annihilation. If you thought Subaru hit rock bottom, you ain't seen nothing yet. Aight fam, if you made it this far, you're officially a real one. Drop a like if Subaru's pain hit different, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the wildest anime rides. Hit that bell so you don't miss when we dive into topics like this. Catch you in the next one. Stay strong, stay vibin', peace.